Diane noticed it in July. She was painting her toenails on the edge of the bathtub, a Saturday ritual, something small and ordinary she did for herself before the week swallowed everything again. She had picked out a deep burgundy, and she was about to apply the first coat when she stopped. There was a line on her left big toenail, a thin, dark stripe running from the base of the nail to the tip, vertical, almost perfectly straight, black at the center, bleeding slightly brown at the edges. She looked at it for a moment. She pressed the nail gently. It didn't hurt. She thought about it for perhaps 30 seconds, decided it was probably a bruise from her shoes. She'd been on her feet all June for the school's end-of-year concert series, and painted over it in burgundy and moved on with her Saturday. That was the first time Diane ignored the line. It would not be the last. She was 47 years old. She taught music to 9th and 10th graders at a public high school where she had worked for 16 years. She was the kind of teacher parents requested by name, the kind who stayed after school and came in early, who remembered which students needed encouragement and which ones needed space. She conducted the spring concert with the same intensity she brought to everything she cared about. At home, she was the logistical center of a household that included 2 teenage boys, a husband who traveled for work, a dog who ate everything within reach, and a calendar that was never not full. She did not have time to be sick. More precisely, she had trained herself not to notice when she might be. August came and went, September. She repainted her toenails twice. Each time the line was still there, slightly wider now, she thought, though she wasn't certain. She wasn't measuring it. Her husband noticed it once in September and asked what it was. She said she thought it was a bruise. He said it seemed like a long time for a bruise. She said she'd look at it when things calmed down. Things did not calm down. In October, a colleague mentioned she was going for a routine checkup. Diane made the appointment mostly to have something to say if her husband asked. The doctor asked about the usual things: blood pressure, sleep, stress. Diane mentioned the toenail almost as an afterthought. The doctor looked at it, noted it in the file, and told her it was most likely a fungal infection or a hematoma, a bruise beneath the nail, and to monitor it and come back if it grew or changed. Diane left the appointment reassured. She went home and made dinner and didn't think about the nail again for 2 months. In January, she thought about it again. The line was wider, definitely wider now. She could see it without looking for it. The skin at the base of the nail, the fold of skin just above where the nail began, seemed different too, slightly darker. She photographed it with her phone and looked at the photo in the Notes app for a while, and then put her phone down and went to bed. She did not call the doctor in January. She called in March, when the nail had begun to look wrong in a way she could no longer explain away. The skin around it was discolored. The line had spread until it was less a line and more a shadow, consuming the whole nail from one side. Her doctor referred her to a dermatologist. The dermatologist looked at it and did not say much, but she requested a biopsy, and her face during the examination was the kind of carefully neutral face that if you've seen it before, you know to be afraid of. The biopsy confirmed it in April: subungual melanoma, melanoma of the nail bed, the tissue underneath the nail itself. Stage 3. It had already spread to the lymph nodes. Diane sat in the dermatologist's office and asked how this was possible. She had always worn sunscreen. She was careful. The dermatologist explained gently that subungual melanoma is different. It doesn't arise from sun exposure. It arises from the nail matrix, the tissue responsible for nail growth, through a different biological mechanism. It is rare. It is also, for reasons that remain incompletely understood, disproportionately common in people of African, Asian, and Hispanic descent. In white patients, subungual melanoma accounts for a small fraction of all melanomas. In black patients, it accounts for nearly a third. And it is nearly always caught late. Part of the reason is awareness. Most people have never heard of it, including many primary care physicians. Part of the reason is misdiagnosis. The dark streak beneath a nail looks, to the untrained eye, almost identical to a blood blister. In patients with darker skin, pigmented nail streaks are more likely to be dismissed as benign. What clinicians look for is captured in something called the ABCDEF criteria: A for age and African or Asian or Hispanic descent, B for band of pigment, that is brown or black, with blurred borders, C for change in the nail or change in the person who has no history of trauma, D for digit, the thumb, index finger, or big toe, E for extension of pigment onto the skin fold at the nail's base, called the Hutchinson sign, and one of the most important red flags, F for family history of melanoma. Diane had several of these. The Hutchinson sign was already present in the photographs she had taken on her phone. Photographs she had taken and then put down and gone to bed. Treatment began in May: surgery to remove the nail and nail bed, lymph node dissection, immunotherapy. Diane took medical leave from the school in June. Her students made her a card that 240 people signed. She read it in the hospital and cried. She responded partially to the first round of immunotherapy. Then she didn't. The cancer moved. By the following February, 7 months later, it had reached her lungs. She died in April, 9 days before the school's spring concert. She was 48 years old. Her husband sat in the front row. Her 2 boys played in the orchestra. The conductor dedicated every piece to her. There is no version of this story where Diane did everything wrong. She noticed the line. She mentioned it to her doctor. She followed up when it changed. She moved through a system that was not designed to catch what she had, in a body that statistics said was already at higher risk. The black line under a nail is called melanoma. Most causes are benign, but the ABCDEF criteria exist because some are not, and the difference between catching it at stage 1 and stage 3 is, in many cases, the difference between life and the spring concert your students play without you. If you or someone you love has a dark streak under a nail, particularly on the thumb, index finger, or big toe, that is new, growing, or has darkened the skin at the nail's base, do not paint over it. Do not wait for things to calm down. Show it to a dermatologist, not just a general practitioner. Ask specifically about subungual melanoma. Use those words. And if you are of African, Asian, or Hispanic descent, know that your risk is higher, and your likelihood of being reassured when you shouldn't be is also higher. Push. If this story stayed with you, if Diane's story is the kind of thing you want to know before it matters, subscribe to this channel. Every episode is built around a real medical pattern. The woman you just heard about doesn't exist, not by name, not by face, not by the school she taught at. But subungual melanoma does. The late diagnosis does. The Hutchinson sign on a photograph nobody acted on does. Every detail of this story was built from what actually happens to real people in real exam rooms with real consequences. The only thing we changed was the name. Subscribe for more stories that teach you the warning signs before it matters. Every episode is a real medical pattern. Take care of yourselves.